Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? By the way, if my voice sounds off in this video, it's because I got sick. So bear with me, y'all. Anyway, just a heads up, this is not a recap or anything like that. This is just my reaction and review after completing the latest quest, which is Chapter 2, Act 7. And of course, spoilers, duh. So if you haven't completed the quest, go ahead and do that thing, man, and then come back. But anyway, the quest was phenomenal. I mean, Cool Games really outdid themselves with this one. Round of applause.
Everybody, bro. But I didn't do it, yo. I didn't see you use your hands.
By the way, these are just my thoughts. They're not really in any specific order, and this is not really a structured video. Okay, so I've recorded and re-recorded, written and rewritten different versions of this video quite a few times. And the more I review the story, the more things I find that I want to say. And fear not, for those who are waiting on other videos, I am planning to do the recap of Act 6. I'm also planning to make a couple more videos surrounding this quest, including a recap. So just keep that in mind. Also, there are going to be splices in of this sick voice, as well as my other sick voice, as I continue to swap in different thoughts from different recording sessions. But yeah, man, let's just get into it. Man, it was so good, and it gave us so much perspective. We got an understanding of Rover. We got kind of closure on the whole Renacita storyline. I mean, of course, there's still some loose ends here and there, but another thing that they did was they went back and showed Scar and Rover back in Huanglong, because if you guys remember, the Huanglong and Renacita chapters, they kind of feel very different, and they feel a little bit disjointed and separate. And they did a great job of bringing it all together, just like basically saying like all of this that happened, everything that happened wasn't by accident. We've had this plan from the very beginning. Another thing too, man, is when we go back to Rover and we delve into, her decisions and her connection with Rover, because Rover and Rover basically had a connection. They basically had a relationship. Okay, so after reviewing the story, yeah, they didn't really have a relationship. It was more of like a yandere type situation where she was just so obsessed with him that she couldn't stop thinking about him and his promise after all that time, because of how understood she felt by him, how many similarities she felt they had. Nonetheless, that doesn't really invalidate what I'm about to say. He promised that he would come back to see her no matter what, and he told her that he would never break his promise. And she waits for him, and she waits for him, and she goes this place, and she waits for him, and she goes that place, and she waits for him, and she keeps going, as many places as she can. And at the end, the Rover never comes. But worse than that, the Rover wipes his memory. Of course, we all know this, but that's even worse, because not only does he never return, he doesn't even remember having met her. Man, that's cold. That is cold. And, one could argue, I don't even think it's an argument at this point, like the absence of Rover in her life after the promises that he made for her and the impact that he had on her basically left her feeling so alone that she just joined the Fraxis, essentially. I mean, it wasn't the only reason. I think she joined the Fraxis because she wanted to sustain the Lost Beyond. And we kind of get glimpses as to what the Lost Beyond actually was originally. And I think part of that is just souls that she's picked up, basically frequencies she's been picking up over time. But I think also part of it is her village, because her village was destroyed. And when you actually read her backstory in combination with it, and of course I haven't unlocked all of it yet, but you find out that she actually died in that village. And when she died, she got her awakening. So her awakening is connected to death. And as a result of this, in this circumstance, basically, she can live for a very long time. She doesn't age normally like regular humans. And so when she tells Rover she waited for a long, long time, Rover is like, how? Like, you're a regular human. And she's like, I mean, obviously, my history on this earth or this planet isn't as long as yours, but it was still a long time. And how could that be? Well, it's because she doesn't age. So that kind of like adds another layer to it. Two essentially almost, immortal beings, with Rover kind of being immortal, with her just kind of, well, she's kind of immortal too. But anyway, and then at the end, to punctuate all of these things that occurred, she dies. She dies by Rover's hand. So Rover essentially, promised her, had her fall in love with him, promised her that he would be there for her, leave, and then as a result of that loss, she joins the Fraxidus, basically the dark side, only for her to then meet him and then for him to not trust a word she says at any point in the story. And then for her to die by his hand. And when it comes to her dying, that's another thing too, because man, she's not as dead as you think. But I'll save that for another video. But first, I also want to talk about, like, when you look at the story in retrospect, when you look at all the things that happened during the course of the story up until now, and even when you take a look at what happened in this particular act of the story, Frolova is constantly, like, in some way showing some, even if it's the slightest bit, she's showing some affection for Rover. Or maybe I should say reservation for Rover. Back when Rover and Scar got into it, she was like, yo, you're doing too much, when Scar was trying to fight Rover, And then when she sees Rover on the rooftop, back when they're in the village in Raguna, she doesn't strike. She doesn't attack him directly. He wants to fight her. When she meets him in a dream, she doesn't fight him. She doesn't attack him. She's like, yo, chill. We can't hurt each other here. And do we always have to be on the opposite side? And then in this particular act, she says so many different things. Like at one point, she's like, don't you feel some type of loss, some lingering thoughts, some lingering regret, something that haunts you from your past? And like, when you first hear this, you may think like it's some type of cryptic villain talk, right? You may feel like, okay, this is just her kind of like trying to psych him out in some way. But in actuality, she's hinting at herself and her situation with Rover. She's basically trying to fill Rover out. Like, do you feel any regret for having left me? Do you feel any type of regret? Oh my goodness, man. The story was crazy. But yeah, man, it's a crazy, beautiful, tragic story. I know this is not my typical editing style or my typical way to make a video, but I just wanted to get something out there quick for you guys. And I also wanted to just share my thoughts and, also see what your thoughts are. I'm looking forward to reading the comments. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the waves. Peace. Dang, man. Voice temporarily dying like Frolova out here.